yes indeed, my children. There we go, living in our dreams again. But you realize, we're here to help each other fulfill our dreams, all of them. Not the crazy, insane ones, the ones that, are a little bit sick and twisted. Those we can put away for, another day, another way. 'Cause we don't do that no more, man. It's all in the past at last. As we wake up shiny and new in this morning that's refreshing too, man. The sunlight all over you, whether you're indoors or out. Man, it's coming out from inside and inside out and outside in too, man. I'm telling you, we're becoming the shiny, happy people we always dreamed ourselves to be. Living in liberty. Yeah, freedom, free to flow with the harmony of the heart, don't you know? And we don't need rulers and regulators to help us along the way. We've got our own way to play, wouldn't you say? Yes, indeedy. Day after day, hearing that Coyote sort of way only and exclusively on the Everclear Hazy Radio Network, dear, which is the place you always want to be, because this is the place you come when you want to be free, okay? Yeah, and get it clear. Nothing like stepping out of the haze, dear, and seeing that we all have the same basic dream, and we're fulfilling it when we step out of that haze and begin to see the bright sunlight everywhere. And baby, it's not too hot, it's not too cold, it's just right to bring forward the blossoming of life today. Right here inside of each and every one of us, as one person in every being that's tuned in here or participating in any way. We have a lot of multidimensional presences here that come and help us day after day, this Coyote sort of way. See, we have friends all across the universe, in the third density, and beyond her too, of course. You see, many people live it in, a multi-dimensional way. Those that don't necessarily, they have origins in Mother Earth, same as all life does. You got to think about that now. You just take it as you will. What do you feel? What's real? What do you know? What's that real dream there in the heart and soul of your human side, your humanity? What is that brings forward sanity? Don't you remember when you were a tiny child, seeing the world around you in contrast to that dream you held inside? That happy little dream where people were just people and they were helping each other along and singing each other's heart song together. Duets and quartets and a cappella choirs, and pretty soon as the angels joining in with their 35 level harmonies, and oh my goodness, I tell you what, that's the real song of life coming forward in everything. And when we all begin to sing it in one time, one moment like that, baby, it's all back together again. And never will we feel apart from ourselves. Never. We're always going to be there, because that's who we are. That's what we are. And that's how we live, you see. In the happy heart of creation, nurtured by the mother's love, the way a baby child should be. We are just children beginning, even though we might be gazillions and billions of experiential years old. We're just starting out, baby. This was the seasoning. This is where we got the sugar and spice and everything nice, and the sweet and sour, and that was dour, and that was really mean and cold-hearted too. See, we couldn't even conceive of such a thing in our previous incarnations before we became human beings. We lived in the fluffy old love of creation, man. We were all together. We, were joined hand to hand, heart to heart all the time. We thought the same thoughts. We still do. But we just interpret them differently here, because there's a warpage in the third density, It's like standing before one of those crazy mirrors at an amusement park with all them wrinkles and warples in it, You can't hardly tell that's you over there. It's a very distorted view over there, see? Well, that's what we did. We projected ourselves into that distorted view. to experience ourselves that way for a while. But always is our self standing nearby on the other side of that mirror image we're living in, see? And what does a mirror do? Makes it upside down and backwards, or sideways and backwards? I don't know. Anyway, it turns it around. See, and that's exactly what happened in the third density. It became, a backwards world. So what was real was unacceptable, and what was unreal became the reality, you see. So we lived in a world of illusion, of pain and the feelings of separation, emptiness, loneliness. That kind of thing came around and bit us on the backside. Kind of mildly compared to how it could have been. I mean, I know we're going through hell in a handbasket right now in the third density reality of Mother Earth. And it seems like the politicos and the machine behind them are just trying to destroy everything and everyone and, create a hell on earth instead of a paradise. Well, that's the natural impetus in a backwards world. Hell is paradise, you see. But we got through it already, man. We've been through the worst kind of hell. We've been through everything they could possibly dish out. When you consider the generations, what little you know about it, historically. I was always fascinated by history, but somehow I knew there was something more than what they were telling us, They 6,000 years, my backside, that's barely a scratch on the fingernail of love in the reality of humanity, and I didn't know it then, but I do kind of know it now. We were here for millions of years, perhaps 1 billion years. We've gone through every conceivable re-ingestation of this reality in the third density, We have worked it this way, worked it that way. We've torn it down and built it back up. We've gone down to where there were just 2 or 3 pairs of feet on the ground. But that was enough to bring us around and give us a grand start again, see? And now we all sense that we're at one of those cusp moments where we could take the whole thing down, and we've got some pretty insane people trying to lead us around and make us think we don't know do and they do, and therefore they can push the button and boom, 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 and there we go. But guess what? We've got friends in high places. There are people in this reality that are not what they appear to be, you see. Some of these are ET, some are partly angelic, yet still subject to the whims and wiles of the human flesh, so they're kind of like us too. Yet they're a little more present, and they're able to influence things in a quiet way and move things differently than others would have it, wouldn't you say? See, so even though there's been a great impetus towards what some would call World War III and total annihilation of humanity once again, well, babies, we've got some serious help here, and it ain't going that way, For the most part, the nukes are pretty much neutralized, because there's not anything hidden from the angelic realm. They're the fly on the wall that always gets in there no matter how airtight you make it and how deep you bury it in the bowels of Mother Earth. The fly still gets in there. It sees, it knows, it is present in all things. The angelics then are the eyes and ears and feelings of the reality, you see. And through them we can expose it all, I remember when they started taking me places like that. I couldn't believe it at first, But there was some real wild stuff going on here. I mean, for example, somewhere up in Montana, I think it was, they had a great big tall rocket inside a hollowed out mountain, and this rocket was going to be their doomsday machine. If, things went against the darker forces. I mean, this was the thinking in the day. I'm talking about back in the 90s now. And if things were turning against the darker forces, well, they were just going to set this rocket off, and somehow it was going to waste everybody. So nobody gets anything. If they don't get their way, then nobody gets their way, you see. Spoiled little baby brats. Programmed little ding-dongs is what they really are. Poor things. You got to have some sympathy for their great sickness. Because without them there to take it, maybe you'd have it, and you'd have to be playing that role. Wouldn't that just crush you, destroy you? Kill you, burn you, scratch you right down to nothing, You see, it's all about living in this reality and understanding what's really going on here. That these are essentially actors playing roles, programmed actors playing roles, pre-programmed. 'Cause, babies, you wouldn't believe what happens to some souls here in the dark backgrounds where, torture is considered an honorable thing and so on and so forth. There's a lot of craziness in the background here when it comes into programming. Now they're trying to expand that kind of extensive, harsh programming into the whole of humanity, which of course, because we've got friends, it just never happens. We get little bits of it here, little bits of it there, but for the most part, the big boom boom, the big okay, everybody's under our control now, doesn't happen, hasn't happened yet, and because it has not happened yet, it will not happen, because we're past the point of no return already, see. We're pretty much assured our planetary ascendancy. Me and a whole bunch of others kind of snuck it in, many years ago when nobody was really looking, in a place where nobody was looking at. Yet everybody knew it was happening and everybody could feel it, because there was a big shift back about that time. I'd say around 94 or so, that's when the whole thing turned around. That's when we were assured our planetary ascendancy. So now you're just seeing actors acting up, doing their worst to be their worst, to do their best performance before they give up the performance and go on, with real life and celebrate what they've been able to perform here and get out of it, dear. See, that's the whole solution. That's the resolution of this reality. And it's coming real now in this aspect of time we call the winter time, right now, in other words. It's coming around because we're all coming around in the same sort of way. Now, scattered across this earth, in addition to those that have come from other places to help us out, there's also a bunch of human beings predesignated for these times and held together in some way, some loose sort of way, to live to see this day when they could begin to open up and be united in the heart, begin to glow in the heart, begin to realize a family beyond even the bloodstream, which is kind of the same in a way, but kind of not in another way, It's the real blood of life. It's the original waters of life that come forward in these forms of creation called human beings, and they might be living low lives or high lives. They could be in just about any position in this world. But they're the ones we're speaking of that are looking in the mirror this morning and seeing a whole lot brighter image of themselves, because that's what we've brought into being here, just by a few of us being determined to see this thing through, no matter how many obstacles are tossed upon our path, you see. And if you can hold that kind of determination, baby, you'll get where you're going, and you're there already, you see. These people are waking up all across this earth, seeing that shiny self come forward. And as they go forward in their day today or tomorrow or whenever it is they happen to put foot out there again, they'll find everyone in alignment with their wishes. So life won't be a hassle anymore. And they'll find people starting to brighten up all around them too, because it's an infection. The sunlight from inside. The warmth of love in creation, the embrace of creation upon itself for being such a God-blessedly beautiful thing. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? That's what we're beginning to see here in just a few people. Yet, you see how that spreads? You step out, your life starts to go really, really well, synchronistically as all get out, and pretty soon others are catching the attitude that you carry. And they're going forth in their life and saying hello to everyone and smiling at the untouchables and so forth, Doing what they could never do before, Some of the billionaires just give it up right now, etc., in a kind-hearted sort of way. Because we've got friends here. And I got to tell you, there's been a big shift in the E.T. approach to the Mother Earth and her children here. And while they're still, basically a little leery of us, some anyway, others aren't that concerned. But anyway, it's direct revelation now. It's no longer, reserved for a few secret people in a few secret places and here's some technology. We were just playing those people for suckers and they suckered right into it, man. Because along with this technology comes the energy of enlightenment, the energy of love, the energy of knowing and understanding the real life that we're living. You see, that was the sneaky part of it. But it wasn't sneaky at all because it was very visible. We don't hide things. We don't have to be sneaky. We're straight up. We're just coyotes, man, you see. So people don't always believe what they're feeling, what they're seeing. So it's easy to slip it in on them with, right there in their faces, being straight up and honest. Just like these people lightening it up all over this world. Just by shining, they encourage others to shine too, and it catches on. It's the wave of love, the wave of enlightenment. But it's a light feeling, besides being a bright expression from inside of yourself. It's a lightness in your heart, where the burdens of life no longer seem like anything but blessings. And everything in this life is accepted as such, whatever it may be. Okay? So I can bless what's trying to hold me back right now. I understand the comic nature of the cosmic reality. I know that we play a lot of fine jokes on ourselves. Maybe to the point of withering down to nothing. Just so we can bring ourselves around in a natural sort of way. Encourage ourselves to move this way, that way. Take on burdens for others. Whatever. See, we're all in it together. And what are friends for? But to help each other out. So the ETs, which are our family, we created them, they created us kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's like we are the children of the universe. Our essence comes from all the ETs. But then we are the ETs because we spread our essence all over the universe. Many millions of years ago when we had such facility to do so. And we're always trying to get back to that place where we can be in the universe once again, everywhere and anywhere we need to be, but not with battleships. How retarded is that? I mean, what you going to battle with but yourself? And everything you throw out there now in weaponry comes right back on you, don't you see? I don't care who you are, where you're at. It's a firecracker. You toss it over the neighbor's fence, all of a sudden it explodes in your face. And how did it get there? I don't know. But you can't get rid of it no more. You see what I mean? You can't throw your evil on somebody else and expect, them just to lie down and take it. There's too much love in this reality to allow that kind of sickness forward anymore. So we're curing it, babies, from the inside out with this bright light of love, which understands. It says, you can't cast that atomic weaponry my way. You can't cast that bullet my way. Comes right back to you. And baby, you're going to wear your own medicine, no matter what it is. If you're putting out good shit, well, guess what? It bounces back too. You see? It's just the way you want to live it here in this 3D. It's all about seeing the programming that has made you an insane nut that thinks that money's the answer for everything and don't even have a clue as to what that money might be, but just something that makes you feel powerful and mean and rotten to the core, right? And you take some kind of delight in that rottenness, don't you? See? Programming, baby. They taught you to love hate. But hate is love because it's made out of life, see? So you can't really hate anything. You're not hate. You love the hate. You hate the love, but you love the hate, and the hate then becomes love. Neutralizes that toxicity. And no longer do you have the anger to compel it into violent activity because you think you're being picked on or you think you're the one that should be, and blah, blah, blah. We got more excuses in our emptiness, but none in our fullness, in our presence. When we all become bright light like that, and it's not far away, baby. It's this holiday season. That is the reason we're bringing it up this year, this day, whatever it is, man. Who cares what the numbers are? Doesn't really matter. Nobody can predict anything, yet it's all right here happening, see? And you can see where it's leading. You can see where it's going if you're just honest with your own self. When you find that innocent, honest heart, that, and remember that base dream and the very core of your soul, the very essence of your experience. You know, the one you brought with you, the one that you could never forget. You can bury it, you can put it away, but it's there. And it's nagging at you too. Most of the pain in life is the contrast that we feel between what we know is real in that dream and what we see happen and hear, what we see ourselves doing, let alone others. You know what I mean? We all sell ourselves a little short, compromise with this world one way or another, because that's what it demands of us. You put that innocence away, you get streetwise, baby, and you do okay. You know, nobody will be able to really rip you off, and you might actually make a few bucks, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? It's like, no. The way to go is the flow of friends, don't you know? Family, really, because we're all in this together. And the more we lighten up and brighten up and accept the reality of our own base dream, where everyone and everything is not only getting along with each other, it's there to assist the life in growing itself. That's what friends are for. That's what family is. Working together as a tribe. The tribe of humanity, the tribe of Mother Earth, because it's not just humanity here, in case you haven't noticed. There's a few other critters and creatures around you, and they're not just earthbound ones either. There's all kinds of different mysteries here, and you try to blow them up and make people afraid that the boogeyman's going to get them in the middle of the night, blah, 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 you know, like this. But, you know, people got to experience that in order to move beyond it, so we all got through it one way or another. I know I sure had my share of hatred for a long time. You know, because I felt really violated, really picked on when I was a kid, and I felt like I had something to get even with. But then I realized it's better just to hang on to the dream and try to bring it forward. Do what you can in this world as a third density person to lighten the load for others and make it more fair, you know, and not be like everyone else. You know, just be true to yourself. That's when I discovered true marketing, because if you're like right inside of yourself, you ain't going to sell anybody anything that's a gouge or a rip-off or anything like that. You know, you're always going to treat people straight up, and basically they'll treat you straight up. Mostly, you know, there are those that can't resist when they see a pile of money to try and steal it from you, you know. But that's all right too, you understand. But neutralize that toxicity, man, and you'll never be stolen from again. And you won't have to be, because there won't be money to measure it by anymore. See, we're moving into a reality where creation lives, where we actually do create the lives we're living and so forth. Consciously present now, where before it felt separate from us. See, but we're moving in that direction. That's the great infection of brightness and lightness that's taken over. It's a unity thing. It's where we move in a singular thought, a singular moment, a singular activity as a group of 1 billion, 7 billion, whatever the hell the number is, you know. There's power in that. And, you know, the whole universe cheers when they see us finally catching on, dear. And the whole universe has been here to help, because they are our family. And they knew the tragedy we'd have to go through before we could find our triumph. And they blessed every little sweet part of our bippy for it. You see, remember the old Laughing and Goldie Hawn and Rowan and Martin and all that? God, that was fun, man. But see, bless your sweet bippy, man. And just get on with it like the true hippie that you are. Happy, intelligent person pursuing infinite enlightenment. Delightment and joy, in other words. This is where the hippie thing began. Some people think it's just a bunch of crap now, man. Because it didn't get a hard hold yet. It did. And this is what is manifesting now. It's not just the hippie dream. It's what that hippie dream represents, which is the dream we were all born with, even the one that Joe Walsh sings about, you see. I don't play that one very often because it's kind of slow, but I love old Joe. And I love the way he expresses the dream, don't you know? And I love the way you express it too. And I love the way it flows through me into all the rest of the reality around us, don't you see? That's the true nature of a broadcaster, man. You know, and you're all broadcasters, not just me. We're all there in it, you see? Broadcasting this radiant love into the reality around us that people and the planet and all the life upon it might awaken. And remember that we're in it together and that we are working together in harmony always. And working's probably the wrong word. Let's say playing together in harmony always. It's a delightful thing. It's a happy thing. It's an innocent thing that lets go of all the heavy darkness we've created here. Transforms that shit in a heartbeat into the most joyous shout of creative love there could ever be. Neutralizes the toxicity in this reality, you see. And self-corrects all of the inequities in the 3D as it does so. The demons become angels. The dark masters become bright lights of generosity, fountains of love that can't share the wealth quick enough or far enough or wide enough, you see. That's the nature of the change in the third density. It's going back to reality. So instead of being a backwards world, it's a forwards world. It's the world from which all of creation finally arises in its true blossoming heart with the depth of feeling to compel it into ever-loving creation, ever-loving experience, you know, eternally. You know, there's no time. There's just time enough for everything. And we got time now, don't we, babies? Yes, indeedy. And we're in good timing, too, with this rock and roll, this spontaneous medicine for your heart and soul that we play here day after day in that Koyote sort of way. You know, the whole arrangement here is kind of controlled by the angels who read into your heart and say, oh, they ought to hear this aspect of that one now, you see? Because there's more to this rock and roll than you ever saw in the 3D, even though many of you sensed it. There's a lot of you that didn't know that the medicine of life is in the rock and roll. That's what you're finding out, dear, here in that place you turn to when you want to get it clear. The Everclear Hazy Radio Network with Grandpaw Coyote and Okiwan Kenobi and Sweet Mary J. hanging out here at Spring Crick. Yeah, the rockin'est little radio show you'll ever know, and a cool, clear drink of innocent, loving water.